Bienvenue, hello and welcome. I have a new book for this week. But first, we have some very, très exciting news. This month of April is Black Cockie Press 5th birthday. Fifth birthday. And Black Cockie Press has a big sale. You go over to the website and there is big sale. There is 50, because it is our 5th birthday, there is 50% off all digital products. So that is all the templates, all the digital templates, and all the ebooks are half the price. Now, Infernal Majesty is making me do this. She is making me do this for some reason. She is very rude. But remember, there is her Infernal Majesty t-shirt for her Infernal Majesty. There, I did it. And there is the creative writing book to help you with your creative writings. There is templates. You can get templates like this, only digital, for half price. And if you go over to our Instagram, the Black Cockie Press Instagram, there is a link down below for that. There is a trivia quiz that has prizes. So that is what I needed to tell you before we start, is that it is the Black Cockie Press 5th birthday. And if you want to keep up to date with all the Black Cockie Press things, then when you are over on the website having a look at all the things on sale, then sign up for the newsletter, because the newsletter comes out and it tells you special things that are happenings, and it also has exclusive discounts that are not available anywhere else. So there you go. Check them out. Now, what are we looking at this week? This week, we have a woman writer who I like very much. I don't think we have done a woman writer. No, we did D.H. Lawrence, we did Thomas Mann, James Joyce, Mikhail Bulgakov. No, this is our Franz Kafka. This is our first woman. So our first woman is, now this is a very hard name to say because it is a French name, and I heard this from herself. Anais Nin. Anais Nin is the writer that we are looking at today. And today, remember, you would remember in my first video, I told you after we did D.H. Lawrence, and we would do some more Lawrence. Just, we did not like Lady Chatterley. No. I told you when we did that I would get you some good sex. Oui. And I have got some. I told you I would bring you this writer. And so this writer, we are looking at 2 books. The 2 books we are looking at, because they are both collections, they pretty much cover the same material in both books, rather than being a development. These books are The Delta of Venus, and another book called Little Birds. And these 2 books are books of erotica. Oui, erotica. So that is what we are looking at this week. I think that first of all, it is probably a good idea to explain the difference between erotica and pornography. So, pornography is designed for arousal, and it is most of the definitions that I read suggested that purely something that is just pornographic is degradation. It degrades the participants. I do not, well, no. I can see how that could be done even in a book where the participants are imaginary and no human is actually there. But erotica is a literary form. Pornography is not a literary form. Pornography is just a thing in the world. It is sort of a bit describing the difference between erotica and pornography is a little bit like explaining the difference between naked and nude. It is a very fine line. A very, very fine line. Mais some paintings that is of a nude is art, and a picture that is just naked is pornography. It is generally speaking quality of attitude, an attitude. So erotica is a literary genre in its own right. It is certainly talking about sex, but it is talking about sex that does not necessarily need to be explicit. So that does not mean that it cannot be explicit. Even though it has that sort of content, it is more concerned with the feeling and the sensuality and examining sexuality within a larger framework. So although we did not like the sex in Lady Chatterley's Lovers, the sex is there for a reason. It is not there just for the pornographic pleasure, which I believe many of the filmmakers attempting to adapt it seem to mistake, and it always ends up looking like soft porn, which is why there isn't a decent adaptation. No, there is not. Mais the erotic does not need to be explicit. It is about, it is discussing sexuality, but it does not have to be explicit. Pornography must, by its nature, be explicit. So that is the difference between the two. And what it is that Anais Nin writes is erotica. So these are 2 volumes of erotica that she was writing in the 1940s. So a little background for Anais Nin is she is a French, Danish, Cuban descent woman. She was born outside of Paris to a Danish-French mother and a Cuban musician father who was nearly 10 years her mother's junior and who left the family after the mother's money had run out. Anais' mother took her and her brothers, I think it was 2 brothers, but she took her young family when Anais was 11 to America and lived in New York. So even though Anais is a French writer, she is writing in English, and many of the writers whom she interacted were English-speaking writers. She had an English-speaking American husband, And in the 30s, she returned to France with her husband, who was a banker, and she wrote there. And then, of course, as the war began, they left and returned to America, where in the 1940s she began writing this erotica for $1 a page for a collector. Anais Nin, who is also known for his sexual content in his novels, and who we will have a look at later. Anais Nin introduced her to this collector who is buying erotic and pornographic writing for $1 a page. And so she starts writing this stuff. And it is lurid, and it is surreal, and it is fantastical. It is not this stuff of a typical pornography. It is erotic. So it is because of the nature of the commission. It is somewhat explicit, but it is still of artistic and literary merit. Apparently she wrote about 800 pages of this, of which these are the edited down best pieces chosen. So why would we want to have a look at this stuff? Because Anais Nin is really one of, if not the first, certainly one of the first female voices that we have writing this sort of material. You do not get erotica from Virginia Woolf or Jane Austen or Charlotte Bronte. Might actually improve Charlotte Bronte. She's a little wet fish. But anyway, you do not get this content from a great many other women writers. Women at this time were not expected to have the sexual urges. It was something that culturally they were expected to endure for the sake of husband and children. It was a very repressed sort of attitude towards women and their sexuality. And so, given that Anais Nin did not really begin to publish work until later in her life, and was not really paid any attention to until the 1960s and the 1970s. She died in 1977, and she lectured at various American universities. She also had 2 husbands at the same time, one in New York and one in LA. Oui, she had 2 husbands at the same time. Now we hear stories of men doing that, but she had 2 on either side of the country, and she apparently managed it. So she is a remarkable woman. But for women of the 60s, she was a woman who inspired, much like Sylvia Plath. People had a tendency to read her uncritically, especially since many of the things that were published of hers were her diaries, which she had been writing since she was 12 years old. And this does as a clouded reputation. So she has had ebbs and flows. I encountered her as a very young woman at around the same sort of times that a lot of people encounter Sylvia Plath. I encountered Anais Nin. And I think that I got the better part of the deal because, yeah, yeah, I think so. I think that I got the better part of the deal. Writing, which is why we would read these books in the first place. Remember, they are over the top. They are written for monies. She wrote them as throwaway things. She was not thinking of these as, oh, I'm going to be a revolutionary in terms of female sexuality. Her writing is incredibly sensual. It is incredibly sensual writing, and you see this also in her novels, which we will have a look at later. There is a quintet of novels that I would like to look at, but I haven't finished reading all 5 of the novels because I couldn't get them. Simple as that, until recently. Mais she was an incredibly sensual writer. I have heard her described as an embodiment of divine feminine. This is not writing with the strong drive, but rather writing that you submit to, you allow to take you on your journey. It is not a surprise that she is the little fishes. She is the Pisces. She's the Pisces writer, which is a très feminine archetype and très feminine energy. I do not think that this is a great mystery that she should bring this enormous amount of feminine energy into what had been traditionally a very, very masculine genre. The erotic writing was something that was for the men to do, not for the ladies to do. And so, because she brings a female sensibility, female sensuality to this writing, it makes it incredibly, incredibly beautiful, and brings it is bringing really that female perspective to things. So I would recommend that you check these out. I think that they are very interesting. Of course, if you are a very young person, I would suggest not. It is probably not the kind of materials that would be appropriate for you. But for an adult audience, absolutely have a look. Remember, though, she is not a realist writer. She is not writing something that is real. How boring. She is writing fantasy. She is not always correct or appropriate. So do be aware of that. She is delving into dreams and fantasy and the subconscious, and it is not to be read as an endorsement of any particular thing, merely as a I think the best way of describing the experience is a dazzling, sensual, erotic kaleidoscope of erotic ideas. So they are well worth getting. They are in print. This one especially is a new book. This one, I've had this one for quite some time. They are not hard to get. She is actually easier to get. I have not read her diaries. I am more interested in her fiction. So until then, we will come back to Anais Nin at a later date. And until then, I wish you some happy readings and au revoir. If you would like to support this channel, come across to the Black Cockie Press website, www.blackcockiepress.com.au, where you will find books and other writing services to help with your writing.